Welcome to Pure Yoga and Mindful Movement. We're going to be doing knee down side planks and we're going to be doing some chair work. It's an easier variation of the vinyasa practice that I've sent out, so you can benefit from everything that we've done in that, but with just less challenging ways of doing it. So bringing yourself first of all to a seat, cross-leg position, hands on top of the thighs, take a close of the eyes and take a moment just to connect to your body, connect to your mind, your thoughts, your feelings, any sensations, emotions. Just being fully aware of how you've arrived on the mat. Making sure you're tall through the spine, relaxed through the shoulders, maybe a slight bow through the head, just to take that natural curve of the whole of the spine. Scan from the head down to the fingers, down to the toes. Just checking in with any tight spots, any injuries you may be looking after. And be mindful of them as you move. Always take child's pose, maybe cat-cow, or maybe lay on your back to take bridge if things don't feel right that I'm cueing. There's always an option for movement or an option for stillness. Start to connect maybe with that Ujjayi breath, breathing in and out through the nose, slight restriction at the back of the throat. Or use the exhale through the mouth if you need to. If you're not happy, just using the nose. Opening the eyes. And on an in-breath, raise the hands up towards the ceiling, palms together at the top. On an out-breath, bring your left hand down to the mat. Reach over to the left side with the right hand stretching down that side body. Lateral flexion of the spine. Keeping that right sit bone grounded as much as you can. On your next in-breath, bring both hands back up to meet at the top. And then bringing your right hand down, leaning over to your right side with your left hand. Keeping your left sit bone grounded. Full support through the pelvis. On an in-breath, come back to centre and reach both hands back up. And then bringing your right hand to your left knee and your left hand behind and rotate. Take a long breath in and a long breath out. Maybe take it a little deeper, but not too deep for the start of practice. Come back to centre and reach both hands back up to the ceiling. And then taking it the other side, bringing your left hand to right knee and your right hand behind. Take a long breath in. Long breath out, maybe find a little deeper movement. Then on your next breath in, reach both hands back up to the ceiling and the palms together at the top. Then bring the hands behind, interlace the fingers, push the hands towards the floor, squeeze the shoulders together. And then on the out breath, maybe lean over those thighs and feet and maybe raise the hands up and away from the lower back, but only if shoulders are happy to do so. Just coming as low as you can before those sit bones start to want to leave the mat. Then raising yourself back up, releasing the hands, bring the hands to the knees, bring the chin to the chest and push the whole of the back towards the back of the room. Drawing the belly back, the ribs back, curling through the shoulders, the lower back. And then bring yourself back to centre. Make your way to your hands and knees. Bringing the heel of the hands underneath the shoulders, knees underneath the hips, tops of the feet flat. Take a few rounds of cat-cow here. Lift the head, lift the bum, drop the belly. And fold it back in, chin to chest, tailbone tucks. Go in and out of those two places, moving with fluidity, thinking about the bra strap up, taking more extension through that thoracic spine rather than just the lumbar. And fold it all back in again, using your breath to movement, really flowing, maybe closing the eyes. And then the next time you come back through tabletop position, hold that tabletop space. Send your left foot to the back of the mat, then over to the right side of the mat. Bring your hands a handprint to the right, gaze over that right shoulder back towards the left foot, and lift the belly up and away from the mat to take the arch out of the lower spine. Holding just for another breath. and then making your way back to tabletop. Hands come back under the shoulders, left knee comes back to meet the right. Then take the right foot to the back of the mat over to the left side. Walk the hands, that handprint to the left. Gaze back towards that right foot over the left shoulder. And then lift the belly up to take that arch out of that lower back again. Contracting the left side waist, lengthening the right. Bring yourself back to tabletop, hands back under the shoulders and the knee back underneath the hip. Your weight stays in your left hand, your right hand lifts, turn and twist, rotate to the right. Then thread your right hand in between left hand, left knee, bringing the right ear or head to the mat. You can stay here if you don't feel too much support through the neck, but if you can push into that right forearm and in weight in both knees, maybe you raise that left hand up to the ceiling and rotate the wrist of the left hand. If you've not lifted the left hand, you can rotate the wrist of the right. Make that rotation the other way. And then if the hand is lifted on the left, bring it back to the mat, push into the left hand and bring your right hand back to meet left. Opposite side, weight stays in right hand, left hand lifts up and out to the side. Then thread that left hand in between right hand, right knee, bringing your left ear to the mat. If you feel stable, raise the right hand up and rotate that wrist. If you haven't raised the right hand, maybe rotate the wrist of the left. And then take those rotations the opposite way, making sure your weight is in both knees. And then if that right hand's lifted, bring it back to the mat, push into the right hand and bring your left hand back to meet the right. Step back to a plank position, and from plank, just drop the knees without moving the shoulders forward or back. So we're trying to keep those shoulders over the heel of the hands. And then just take an untuck of the toes. And then drop the hips, lift the chest, and just find a back bend that's comfortable for you. Holding there just for another couple of breaths. Soften the elbows so we're not hyperextending through that joint, but firmly push into those hands, the index finger, thumb, little finger. Just one more breath in this back bend. And then lift the hips back to where they came from. Tuck the toes back under, lift the hips back to full plank, and then lift them to full downward facing dog, and take a little paddle through those feet. We're going to take a slow vinyasa, coming forward, 2, 3, 4, drop knees and lower, 2, 3, 4, lift chest, 2, 3, 4 and lower, 2, 3, 4, tuck toes, chest back, 2, 3, 4, lift hips, squeeze heels back, 2, 3 and 4. Take another paddle of the feet and another shake of the head. And then bringing those heels to a still position if you can. And we're just going to flow through to plank and back to down dog. Come forward and keep the chin tucked until the body comes straight, and on an out breath soften the knees, send the hips towards the heels, lift the hips up and squeeze the heels back. 2 more, flowing through to plank. Let the head lift as you get in a straight line, soften the knees, send the hips back to the heels, lift the hips up and squeeze the heels back. 1 more of those, curling through. Soften the knees, send the hips back, lift the hips up, back to downward facing dog. Come forward to a plank position, drop the knees, turn your right foot off the mat, roll onto your right side and lift the left hand up towards the ceiling. Then turn the left palm, reach up and over the head, lift the left leg, bring the knee to the chest, take a hold of the shin, ankle or big toe, and then start to turn the chest forward, bringing your right foot back onto the mat and plant the left foot down. Tuck the back toes under, raise the arms up to find a lunge position with the right knee to the mat. Once you're stable, bring the hands back to the chest. Lean forward with the torso. Right elbow hooks the left knee. Take a long breath in, elongate, and a long breath out to find a rotate. Just holding that rotation just for a couple of breaths. And then turning the chest back to the mat and planting the hands on the floor. Lift the back knee, step forward onto your left foot and raise your right leg up to hip height. And place the fingertips on the mat. Just holding that supported warrior 3 position. We're not lifting the hands away on this, we're keeping a 3-limb pose. One more breath in this position. And then slowly soften the knee of the left and step your right foot back. Drop your right knee to the mat and turn your right foot off to the right side. Send your left foot back and keep it hip height and raise the left hand up. Then reach the left hand up and over the head. Bring elbow to knee and squeeze and lengthen back out. One more, elbow to knee and squeeze and lengthen back out. Then bring your left hand down, left knee down, step back to plank, lift the hips and squeeze the heels back, finding your downward facing dog. Let's take a long slow vinyasa, coming forward, 2, 3, 4, drop the knees and lower, 2, 3, 4, lift the chest, 2, 3, 4 and lower, 2, 3, 4, toes to chest back, 2, 3, 4, lift hips, squeeze heels back, 2, 3 and 4. Let's do rolling planks back to down dog. Rolling through to plank, letting the head be the last thing to lift, then soften the knees, send the hips back, lift the hips up. 2 more, rolling forward to plank. Soften the knees, send the hips back, lift the hips up, squeeze the heels back. 1 more, forward to plank. Soften the knees, send the hips back, lift the hips up, squeeze the heels back. Come back forward to a plank position and drop your left knee to the floor. Turn your left foot off the mat, roll onto your left side and reach the right hand up. Turn the right palm forward, reach it up and over the head. Switch the outside of the right hip on to raise the right leg up to hip height. And then bring that knee into the chest. Take a hold of ankle, shin or big toe and then start to bring it forward to the front of the mat, bringing the left foot back on and tucking the left toes. Raise the arms up and find a knee down lunge position. And then bringing the hands to the chest, leaning forward with the torso. Your left elbow hooks onto your right knee and we turn and twist to the right. Feeling the twist come from the waist rather than from the pelvis. Pushing firmly in with that left elbow and resisting back with that right knee. Try and bring those thumbs as close towards the sternum as they'll reach. And then releasing the hands down either side of that right foot. Lift the back knee. Soften the left knee and step forward onto your right foot, bringing your left foot up to hip height. Both hips in a nice long line, toes of the left foot pointing down. Keeping the fingers down for support with a 3-limb pose. Breathing easy as you hold that left leg up by using the strength of the bum. And then bending into your right knee and slowly stepping your left foot back to meet your right foot. Stepping your right foot back to plank. And then lifting up of the hips and a squeeze of the heels back. Let's take a long, slow vinyasa, coming forward to plank on the inhale. And lower the knees, drop the chest, exhale. Lift the chest, inhale, and release the chest down on the exhale. Toes tuck, chest back to thighs on the inhale. And then lift up with the hips and squeeze the heels back to downward facing dog through your exhale position. Coming down onto the knees and bring your right foot forward in between the hands. Keep your left hand down and reach the right hand up to the ceiling, gazing up towards that thumb. Try and find a good rotation again from the waist. Slightly different rotation to what we took with our plank sequence. One more breath in this position. And then release that right hand down to meet the right foot. Tuck your back toes under and lift the back knee. Keeping the hips low, step your left foot to meet your right foot. And then raise the arms to find a chair position. Tuck your tail down, lift your lower belly up. Raise the arms a little higher if you can. Feather-light touch through the toes. Then bringing the hands together at the chest, straighten through the legs. Bringing your weight into your right foot, lifting your left knee, turning it out, finding a place for the left foot either on the shin, or if you can find a place for that left foot into the right thigh. Wherever you've taken it, we're finding tree pose. Resist with the right leg and push back into that left foot, and resist with the left foot, push back into that right leg. Engaging your stabilising hip, so that's the right side, and externally rotating your left hip to turn that left knee out. Push nice and firmly into the hands. Maybe you want to send those hands up towards the ceiling, bringing them high. Try not to flare the ribs. Then if you'd like to take wide arms, let them come out to the side, palms facing up to find our open tree. And then turn the palms down and round and bring them behind the back. Interlace the fingers, squeeze the shoulder blades together. Create some space across the chest. All the time keeping everything engaged in the right hip to hold yourself nice and supported. One more breath here. And then release the hands back to the hips, the left foot back to the floor. Take a bend into the knees and raise the arms back to chair position. And then bringing the hands down either side of the feet and let the head hang. Come back to a half lift. And then step your left foot back and drop the left knee to the mat. Untuck those toes. Left hand stays down and the right hand lifts again up to the ceiling and gaze towards that thumb. Finding that rotation we took at the start of this round. Bring your right hand back down. Bring your right knee back to meet your left knee. Plant the hands and step your left foot back, your right foot back. Lift up the hips and squeeze those heels back. Coming forward to plank on the inhale slowly. And drop the knees and lower the chest to the mat with control. Breathe in and lift up with the chest, taking your back bend. Roll the shoulders back and release back down towards the mat. The toes tuck and the chest comes back towards the thighs. We then push into the hands and feet and lift the hips to squeeze those heels back. Let's take 3 rolling planks back to down dogs. Roll through and forward, let the head be the last thing to uncurl. Soften the knees and send those hips back. 2 more, roll forward. Soften the knees and send the hips back. 1 more, roll forward. Soften the knees, send the hips back. Okay, come back forward to a plank position. Drop the knees, bring the left foot through. Keep the right hand grounded and raise the left hand up and rotate to the left side. Try and find more rotation and a stack of that left shoulder. Gaze can be up, side or down. Then bringing that left hand down to outside of the left foot. Tuck the back toes under, lift the back knee, keep the hips low as you bring your right foot to meet left. Raise the hands up, keep the hips low to find your regular chair position. And then bringing the hands back to the chest, straightening up through the legs. Bringing your weight into your left foot, bend into your right knee, bring the right foot onto left shin or inner left thigh to find your tree legs. Once you've found the legs, push into the palms to activate arms. And then slowly raising the hands up past the eye gaze towards the ceiling. And then opening the hands out to find our open tree. Then maybe turning the palms down and bringing them behind you to interlace fingers. Push the hands down towards that left heel and squeeze the shoulder blades together. Try not to flare the ribs if you can. Keep everything switched on, particularly that stabilizing leg outside of left hip. Then release the hands back to the hips, the right foot back to the floor. And then bend into the knees and raise the arms up towards the ceiling. Sink the hips low, find chair. And then start to lower the hands to the mat and let the head go and straighten the legs. Then soften the knees, step your right foot back, drop the right knee and untuck the toes. The right hand stays down as the left hand lifts and we turn and twist through the chest. Rotation of that lunge position where we started on this side. Then bringing that left hand back to the floor. Bringing your left knee back to meet your right knee. Stepping your right foot back to plank, your left foot back. Lift the hips and squeeze those heels back. Let's take a long slow vinyasa, coming forward to plank on the inhale. Lowering the knees and the chest slowly on the exhale. Lift the chest on the inhale. Release the chest back down on your exhale. The toes tuck and the chest comes back towards the thighs on the inhale. Then we lift the hips and squeeze the heels back on the exhale. Rolling forward to a plank. Softening the knees towards the mat, send the hips back. Lift the hips up, back to down dog. 2 more of those, rolling through. Soften the knees, send the hips back, lift the hips up, squeeze the heels back. Last one, rolling back through. And send the hips back, lift the hips up, squeeze the heels back. Coming down onto the knees, just take a moment, maybe taking some water or child's pose. Whatever feels right for you at this point in practice. If you're in child's pose, take a long brief breath in and a long sigh out through the mouth. Then making your way up onto your hands and knees, stepping back to plank, lifting the hips, squeezing the heels back. Take down dog for a breath. And then coming forward to a plank, dropping the right knee to the mat, turning the right foot off, rolling onto the right side and reaching the left hand up. Turn the palm, reach it up and over the head. Switch the left hip on to lift that left leg to hip height. And then bring the knee into the chest, take a hold of ankle or big toe, and then turn the shoulders and hips, bring the right foot back on, tuck the back toes under and lift the back knee. Stabilise through the feet, raise the arms up to a high lunge. Let's take a breath in high lunge. Breathing easy, finding that firmness through the feet. And then slowly releasing those hands back down either side of the left foot. Bring your left hand to the inside of the left foot. Drop your right heel to the mat. Reach your right hand up and gaze up to that right thumb. And hold that space for a breath. Then bring in that right hand back down. Drop your right knee to the mat. Turn your right foot off. Send your left foot back to hip height and reach the left hand up. Hold that for a breath. And then bring that left hand down, left knee down. Step back to plank. Lift the hips, squeeze the heels back. Just taking a vinyasa this time, coming forward to plank, slowly inhale. And lower slowly on the exhale. Lift the chest, inhale. Lower the chest, exhale. Toes tuck, chest back to thighs, inhale. Lift hips and squeeze the heels back. Downward facing dog. Come forward to a plank. Drop your left knee to the mat and turn your left foot off. Roll on to the left side and reach your right hand up. Turn the right palm forward, reach it to the front of the room. Squeeze the right side of the right hip to lift that right leg. Bring the right knee into the chest, take a hold of ankle or toe. Bring your right foot forward, bring your left toes back on, tuck the toes under and lift that knee. Push nice and firmly into the mat as you raise both hands up, just finding high lunge for a breath. And then release the hands back down. Bring the right hand to the inside of the right foot and drop the left heel to the mat. Reach your left hand up and turn the chest to the left. Gaze up to the left hand, take a breath in and take a breath out. Release that left hand back to the mat. Drop your left knee to the floor and turn your left foot off. Send your right leg back and hold side plank. And then bring that right hand back down, right knee back down. Step the left foot back, the right foot back. Lift the hips and squeeze those heels back. Let's take a long vinyasa, slowly forward to plank, slowly lowering to the mat with a slow lift of the chest and a slow release back down. And engaging the chest and the core to send the chest back, lifting up with the hips and squeeze of those heels back. Have a nod, shake of those heads. Coming forward to plank, dropping the knees to the floor, bringing your right foot forward, tucking your back toes under and lifting your back knee. We're going to raise up first to find high lunge. And then bring left hand to right knee, right hand to lower back and twist to the right. Reach both hands then back up to high lunge. Bring the hands to the chest and step left foot to meet right, keep the hips low. Raise the arms up to the ceiling. Straighten through the legs, bring the hands to the chest. Weight goes into your right foot as your left knee lifts. Right hand, left knee, left hand lower back. Breathe in, length, breathe out and twist. Take another breath in here and another breath out. Maybe find a little more rotation. Then bring the hands back to the chest. Left foot back to meet right. Raise hands and sink hips low. Then fold over the thighs and let the hands come to the floor. Soften your right knee and step your left foot back. Step your right foot back. Lift the hips and squeeze the heels back. Nice slow vinyasa, coming forward on your inhale and lowering on your exhale. Lift the chest on the inhale and release the chest back down on your exhale. Toes tuck and chest back to thighs on the inhale. Lift the hips and squeeze the heels back on your exhale. Come back forward to a plank. Drop the knees to the mat. Bring your left foot forward, tuck your back toes under, lift the back knee. Slowly raise the arms to your high lunge position. Take a breath in here and take a breath out. Bring your right hand onto left knee, left hand to lower back. Take a breath in, take a breath out and twist. Take another breath in here. Maybe find a little more rotation. Then bring the hands back to the chest at the front. Keep the hips low, soften the back knee and step your right foot to meet the left. Raise the hands up, straighten through the legs. Bring your weight into your left foot and reach your right knee up to hip height. Bring your left hand onto right knee, right hand to lower back. Breathe in, elongate. Breathe out and rotate. Take another breath in here and another breath out. And then turn the torso back to the front, hands together at the chest, and reach your right foot back to meet left. Bend the knees, raise the arms and find chair. And then fold over the thighs and let the head hang. Soften the left knee and step your right foot back. Plant the hands and step your left foot back. Lift the hips, squeeze the heels back. And then take a slow vinyasa, forward to plank, inhale. Drop the knees and lower, exhale. Lengthening those breaths, lift up, inhale, and lower, exhale. Toes tuck, chest back to thighs, inhale. Lift hips and squeeze heels back on the exhale. Coming down onto the knees, untucking the toes. Letting the shoulders stack over the hips and the hips over the knees. We'll take a little bit of movement through the shoulders. Reach your right hand up to the ceiling and turn the palm and send it onto the back of the spine. Turn your left hand around so the back of the hand comes onto the spine. Maybe you can reach fingertips at the back. If you manage to reach fingertips and you've flared the ribs, draw the ribs back, lift the lower belly up. So you should be feeling something here, but if you can't, take a hold of the clothing wherever you can reach. Just stretching through those tricep muscles on the right side and taking an internal rotation of the shoulder on the left. Keep everything engaged in the centre of the body so we're not dumping the lower back. We're going to hold this for another breath. And then release the hands out. Bring your right arm underneath your left. Bend the elbows, back of the hands together, or double wrap to find the palms. Lift the elbows up to shoulder height. Maybe a little higher if you can. And then fold from the hips and start to bring those forearms towards the knees and crunch everything in. And then again, lift back up. Raise the elbows a little higher. Take a moment there. And then release the arms and hands by the side of the hips. Take a little shake of the arms. Then we'll take it on the other side. So reaching your left hand up, bringing your left hand onto the upper back. Bring your right hand behind and send it up that spine. Maybe you find fingertips at the back. Maybe you don't. You have to hold maybe the clothing. If you found fingertips, draw the ribs back, lift the lower belly up. And just feel the stretch coming through the tricep on the left side. Maybe you can feel a little stretch on the bicep on the right side. Keep everything engaged in the core center. One more breath here. And then releasing the bind, bringing the hands forward, left elbow under right, bend the elbows, find back of the hands or palms double wrap, and reach the elbows up. On an out breath, bend from the hips and bring those arms towards the thighs and the head curled in. Stretch through those rhomboid muscles between the shoulder blades. And then slowly raising yourself back up. And as the shoulders stack, lift the elbows a little higher. One more breath here. And then release the hands. Bring the hands to the lower back, fingertips of the little fingers to touch, fingers pointing down. Squeeze the bum, push the hips forward, and then start to lift through the rib cage, the chest, the gaze, and find a back bend. Maybe gazing up or forward if the neck isn't comfortable, but all the time squeezing that bum to push those hips forward. Squeezing the elbows towards each other to create space across the chest. Then lifting the torso back up, release the hands by the sides of the body. And then just swing the arms from side to side, just to neutralise that spine from that back bend before we go into a little forward fold. So bringing the knees together, feet together, bum towards the heels, take the hands to the heels, come up onto the top of the head, and from this position, lift the bum away from the heels, keep a hold of the heels with the hands, so the arms are taking the weight of the body rather than the top of the head, stretching through the lower back, mid-back, upper back, into those glutes, into those shoulders. One more breath here. And then release that bum back towards the mat. Come back up onto all fours. Step back to plank. Lift the hips down, dog, for a breath. Let's take our last long, slow vinyasa, coming forward to plank, inhale. And lowering down to the mat on the exhale. Lift the chest on the inhale and release the chest back down on the exhale. The toes tuck and the chest comes back to the thighs, inhale. Lift up with the hips and squeeze the heels back. Holding down dog for a couple of breaths. So let's take a couple of hip openers. So bringing your right knee to the heel of the right hand and the right foot underneath the body. Untuck the back toes, walk the toes back a little further. And just take maybe that right foot to turn it a little deeper if you've got that range of movement. Rock your left hip towards that right heel a few times. We're staying high up on the hands here, we're not going too low. We're just helping that outside right hip stretch a little bit, having done quite a lot of strength work with balances on your stabilising leg. Try not to let that lower back arch too much. Try and take a little bend through the thoracic spine, around that rib cage. And then bringing yourself onto your right hip and bringing your left foot around to the front. Let's take a little hamstring stretch, taking a hold of the base of that left foot. Make sure both sit bones are grounded. Bring your weight onto your tailbone and then push that left heel up, straighten through that left knee as much as possible, keeping tall through the spine. If you need to walk your hands a little lower to find that stretch and straightening of that left leg, feel free to go there. Then taking a bend back into that left knee, bringing that left foot back around to the back of the mat. Come onto the hands, come onto the knee of the back leg, tuck your toes under, lift the back knee, step your right foot back to meet your left foot. Lift the hips, squeeze the heels back, down dog. Just neutralise the shoulders and hips, ready for the next side. Bring your left knee into the heel of the left hand and left foot underneath the body. Untuck your back toes, maybe encourage the left foot round a little more and walk the toes back a little further. Squeeze the bum, rock the right hip towards the sole of the left foot. In and out a few times. And then find a little bit of stillness here. Try and grow tall through the crown of the head, expansion through the thoracic spine, not just the lumbar spine. Creating that space across the front body. We're not leaning over that leg this time as we're trying to create length across the front torso. And a slight back bend through the back. Just holding for another couple of breaths, really squeezing the right bum cheek to push that hip down, to try and bring it as level with the left as we can. And then rolling around onto your left hip, bringing your right foot around to the front. Take a hold of the base of that foot and interlace the fingers. Make sure both sit bones are grounded. And then bring your weight onto the tailbone. Then straightening through that right leg, pushing the heel away. Toes back towards the shins. Thinking about that right thigh switching on to straighten the knee as much as possible. Growing tall through the crown of the head and relax through the shoulders. Breathing into those tight spots as much as possible. And then taking a bend back into your right knee, bringing your right foot around and back to the back of the mat. Come up onto your right knee and tuck your back toes under. Lift the back knee, step your left foot back to meet your right foot. Lift the hips, find down dog just for a breath. Before we make our way into a seat, then down to relaxation. So either swinging the legs around or jumping the feet to the front of the mat, bum to the centre, heels to the front then, arms out shoulder height. And then slowly with control, starting to lower all the way down to the floor. And when the shoulders and head meet the mat, bring the hands down by the side of the body, turn the palms up, separate the feet to the width of the mat and let the feet drop out to the sides. Push the heels into the mat, lift the bum, tuck the tail, push the lower back into the floor and then give those hips a little rock from side to side. Bring the shoulders down and away from the ears, pinch the shoulder blades together to create some space across the chest. Take a turn of the head in both directions, making sure it comes back to the centre space when you've done so. Close the eyes, relax the muscles across the face, the jaw, let the tongue drop away from the roof of the mouth, lips gently part. Making sure you're relaxed around the shoulders. The spine is in neutral, one long line. You're not holding any tension in upper or lower limbs. Pelvis is relaxed. And you're just taking a few moments to consolidate everything you've just done through practice. Being aware of your left and right sides. Being aware of how you've you've engaged muscles, how you've stretched them, how you've created space with your breath and range of movement with your out-breath. Full awareness of how your own personal body has moved throughout the last 40 minutes of movement. So you have a choice to pause me now and stay here for a little longer. Or if you want to come out with me, start to wriggle the toes, the fingers, rotate the wrists and ankles. You may wish to find a full body stretch, stretching those hands up and over the head, stretching through fingers, toes, arching through the lower back. And then bringing those hands back up and over, bringing the knees in towards the chest. Maybe having a little rock of that body from side to side. And then taking a roll over onto your side. Take a long breath in here. And a long breath out. And then finding your way into a seat. When you find your seat, grow tall through the spine. Relax through the shoulders with a slight bow through the head. On your next breath in, reach the hands up and over the head. On the out breath, bring the hands to the chest and a soft gaze to the floor. Breathe in wisdom and peace. Breathe out love and joy. From my heart to yours, Namaste.